Welcome to another episode of the INH show, talking about geek culture, news and lifestyle. And today we're talking about a less divisive subject. We're talking about Daredevil. Daredevil Season 2.
Season 2.
So it's been out for a while now. We finished watching it.
Yes.
I guess we'll do spoiler-free again.
Are we really going to do spoiler-free?
Well, in terms of you recommend it, do you not recommend it?
Okay, yeah.
I recommend it. If you haven't seen Daredevil Season 2, you should go out and watch it. If you haven't seen Season 1, go out and watch that first, and then watch Daredevil Season 2.
You know what? I'm going to say
Season
this,
1, and then watch Season 2.
This episode is actually going to be boring because, and we've had this discussion, our episodes is more boring for the episodes where we both agree on the same thing. I like the ones that we disagree on things. It makes it more interesting and more dynamic, right?
But I guess, yeah, it's nice to have different point of views, but this one is...
But it's true.
This is so good.
Ken is absolutely right. Season 1, if you haven't watched it, which I'm sure that most people have watched it, it's pretty damn amazing. Season 2, it's ridiculously amazing.
Well, so you think Season 2 is better than Season 1?
Okay, so let me clarify that component. I think it's just as good, if anything, slightly better. And the reason I say that is because they almost, especially looking at the cinematography of the fight scene in the... Remember in episode, is it 2 or 3? Episode 2, I think, the corridor fight scene? Everyone was talking about it. They almost brought that to the next level in the stairwell fight scene in episode 3.
Almost. I think they went above and beyond.
Yeah, it was just... When I watched it, I was like, this is next level, beep, sort of thing. It was like crazy.
I'm glad you censored yourself. Not like Frank Castle.
I'm learning. But yeah, the dialogue's just amazing. The discussion between the Punisher, Frank Castle, and Daredevil, Matt Murdock. It's just nuts.
The interaction,
so cool. It's amazing.
You know, we talked about how you have in our last episode, like Batman, Superman dialogue and so on. It's a little bit corny. This dialogue as well, in some ways, it is kind of corny because people don't really.
But it works.
But the way they acted and in that world, it's so good. We'll get onto that because there's so much to praise about this show.
Right. So I mean, to put it bluntly, I highly recommend it. Just as I highly recommend the first season. So.
I highly recommend it as well. To me, I feel that Season 1 worked better for me. It just played to my sensibilities a little bit more. Season 2 is also very good.
Let me ask you a question. Do you think that for people who are not comic book fans, comic book readers, they can watch this? Because we've discussed this. Marvel has a great way of doing, well, in my view, films that are, it is, for example, a thriller. It is a heist. It is a science fiction film with these characters in it. And Daredevil, especially Season 1, felt like a crime style.
It just happened to have a guy in a suit running around.
Exactly, and that clearly shows that because he didn't even get his suit until the very second last episode, I think it was.
Yeah, but he had a costume.
He had a costume, but not the superhero Daredevil. So what I'm asking is, do you think that people who are not comic nerds or comic fans, or graphic novels, we should say these days, they would still enjoy it?
Season 1, I think, is a little bit easier for the non-fan.
Yep.
Season 2 is a little bit...
Because it's a well-established, he is Daredevil, he has powers.
Well, not only that, true, yes, but also I think the plot, the storyline is a little bit more fantastic with this one.
Okay.
It's still very grounded though, which is a strength of this movie. Not movie. It's a 13-hour movie is what it is. I really think it's great. Let's get into it a little bit. So, Charlie Cox, again, I think does really well. He captures Daredevil, I think. And I'm not a big Daredevil reader. I can't really say I'm all that familiar with anything past what Frank Miller did.
Okay.
But I just think the way he plays Matt Murdock and Daredevil is...
He gets it, he's on point with it.
He gets when I watch him on screen, I can see that's how he would speak. Like, when we talk about some of the Batman and Superman actors, the voice or the way he's written on the movie is not necessarily how I read it. But this Daredevil, again, maybe I'm not as intimately familiar.
Okay.
But I think he's right. In fact, I mean, we can just say all of the characters all of the actors are great in this. Would you agree with that? Is there anyone that's weak?
No, I agree. I like all the actors in this. Charlie Cox was really good. I still have, and I said it from when
the accent. Are you gonna say that?
No. It's his mouth. I don't know. There's something about his mouth. I don't know what it is. I sort of accepted it in the season, but there are certain shots when he's talking when he's got the mask on. And I don't know, is there something about his mouth that I feel funny about? That being said, I did...
Let us know in the comment below if you know what he's talking about.
And I did hear that he did let his accent slip, because he's a British actor, right?
Yeah,
British or UK or from England or...
I feel like, he has to consciously
so I
words.
did see him, well, let me phrase it, heard him slip a couple of times here and there, but it wasn't drastically like, oh my god, you totally effed up. It was like, oh, he slipped one word out of a whole method dialogue.
Yeah, but
okay,
I'll
let it slide.
You can sort of say, well, in New York, there's so many the accents. There's so many different accents.
You're right.
So
depending on which part of New York you're from, right?
Yeah.
But overall, I thought it was really good.
I think if you want to have a show that is just well written and well acted, this is it. Let's get more into the fun stuff there, because I really want to talk about things like, well, that hallway scene. Not the hallway scene.
The stairwell?
Stairwell scene, you want to call it? Yeah. that episode... Episode 3 is my favorite episode.
Oh, yeah.
It starts off with him chained up.
Yes!
And in that scene, the interaction with Punisher, the interactions with Matt Murdock, Daredevil, with all the villains, which we'll get into, is just so intriguing and mesmerizing. But let's get into the Punisher one first, because, you know, to me, it's not really a criticism at all, but a lot of this kind of reminded me of Batman. There's a scene where he's talking to Punisher about how, you know, like, this isn't the way you do things, you know, like, they're criminals, who are we to execute people?
Which is your version of Batman.
Which is my version of Batman.
Yeah.
He operates within...
the justice system where...
Yeah, well,
he operates... them up, but he will not
He operates within his own little, what he thinks is his own... version of justice. And of course with Matt Murdock, he's a Catholic and so on, there's all that stuff. But that little exchange is so good. You know, like, Punisher's talking about how, you know, like, when you hit them, they get back up, but when I hit them, they stay down.
That's cool.
You know, that was so good.
And you know me, I love characters like that, where they're so sort of somewhat conflicted, or they're almost trying to do good, but in their own way, even though it's a little bit evil, if that sort of makes sense.
Well, and when you have them together, and then they're sort of explaining they're different, character. Like, why do you do what you do, why do I do what you do?
Yeah.
And then there's a scene where it's like, you know, you got a bullet, you know, like, let's put Daredevil to the test, you know, like, either you shoot this criminal, or you shoot me, and it's like, well, like, if you don't stop me, then you're just as guilty of killing him, because... that was
intense, but it was so good.
Yeah, and like,
so good.
And the way they write it, like, how does Daredevil get out of this situation? You know, it's Frank Castle. Well, I guess let's get onto actually before we get into Frank Castle. You know that stairwell scene. I really like the bit as well where, you know, Daredevil's trying to escape his dragon castle in the...
This is when the elevator starts to go up and he stops it, because he gets out.
He gets like straight away,
he opens it up again and he walks in.
You don't need to see him, like, thinking to himself, oh, you know, I really should save this guy, but he goes out straight away, he stops, he stops,
he sees the guy, like, the old veteran.
The
come out
again.
Guy. Yeah, and it's like, he stops it open, comes over, and it's like... chains the guy and grabs him.
Yeah,
and it's
like,
he knocks go in, and lock the door. It's like, well, how about you? I'm good.
And he knocks out the lights. And you know, and the other thing I really like in that scene, he's got the gun, right?
Yeah.
He points the gun and he clicks it, so they know it's empty, and he sort of laughs. He giggles. He giggles, because like he got one over them, you know, and then now he knows he has to, you know, obviously fight.
That was just so cool.
And the thing with the fight in this series, like, well, number one, Frank Castle. I never seen him with a clean face. He's got a bruise, he's got a cut. Daredevil is kind of the same as well, which is great.
Yeah.
And with these fights, they're very stylized, yes. But one thing I appreciate is that Daredevil is using similar moves from the first season.
Yes.
He's using the same boxing. He does that flip kick to people.
Yeah, but the thing is, it almost is like he does the same stuff, but he brings it to the next level. Like he's put more into it.
You can see the evolution. Yeah,
the evolution is a perfect way of saying it. And the evolution of his fighting skills.
And not only that, but when he's fighting, is like you can see he's worn down.
Oh yeah, he's tired and he's like huffing and puffing.
I find it hard to believe that Charlie Cox is the man, the stunt double. But whoever it is, if it's Charlie Cox or his stunt double,
they deserve to be praised. Job.
Yeah, and like when he's punching him, like it's not always I punch you when you get knocked out. Like, you know, I got to hit you a few times, and like you can see like the adrenaline surge at different times. It's so good.
It was just choreographed really well.
And
filmed really well. The stairwell scene is almost like, and I'm sure there are certain parts that they cut where they're going down the stairwell, and I think, if I recall right, he whips up and he goes into like a dark blank space and then it comes back out again. I'm sure they cut it there, but it's like, it's as smart as Birdman, where it feels like a one take. You know what I mean? It feels like
it's clever. It's clever.
It's just
directing.
It's continuity, movement. It's man.
Now one criticism I've heard about this, which I can understand somewhat, is that it's very dark. What do you think about that?
You know what?
Do you think it's a clever little, he's blind?
I think it's good. I don't have any problems with it.
I think it's very stylized. I think
it's stylized for Daredevil. I mean, it's like saying, oh, a Batman show, it's too dark. They didn't light it very well. It's Batman. What do you expect? Daredevil runs around at night. He doesn't run around during the daytime as much, right? Like, not that I know of. I'm sure he does in the books, but what I've read in the books that he's always around at nighttime and stuff like that. Or it seems like the setting seems to be a lot.
I think the criticism is though that for a television audience, they could have lit it up a little bit more.
No,
I can sort of see that as a valid criticism, but I don't think it was so dark to the point where, Batman Begins. One of the big issues I have, and many people out there, is the shaky cam, where you really can't see what's going on.
Okay.
This one is it's dark, but it sort of immerses you. It pulls you in,
for me,
you have to see what's going on.
Yeah, for me, it works for Daredevil. It works. I think if they lit it up a little bit more, it wouldn't have the same impact, the same aggressiveness, the same, this guy stalks in the shadows and he, runs from rooftop to rooftop, and it doesn't have that same feel to it. So I think the choice of having just very minimal lighting, a lot of it's to do with shadows and stuff like that. So let's say, for example, fight scenes, it's hard to sort of see the fists coming around, but
you see enough.
Do you know what I'm saying, right?
You see the silhouette, you can see the movement.
Exactly.
Yeah. Whoever thought the choreographer, whoever thought that has done a great job.
It's freaking genius.
You want to talk about the first season, the hallway scene. To me, they did a nice little nod to that with Frank Castle. Let's go to Frank Castle. Oh, Frank Castle. So, a little bit later in the series, we're well into spoiler territory, but a little bit later in the series, I think Castle gets his own hallway scene. When he's in the prison and he meets up with the guy and all the guys. That was traumatic. That was horrific.
Freaking brutal. Oh man, he's a badass.
You have to go and watch that little sequence. And at the end, he gets when his face is covered in blood. If you're a wrestling fan, you know of the Muda scale when it comes to bloody faces. This guy is like a 9.0 on the Muda scale. And the bit where he sort of cuts the guy and his face is on the on his white shirt and his face rolls up and you get the Punisher skull. That was just so clever. It's who thinks of this sort of thing?
It's like the whole team that freaking filmed, created, wrote, choreographed.
They know their stuff.
Everything.
They know how to make it. I can't praise that enough.
It's a genius team. It is a genius. Like, my gosh. Like I honestly, I don't think I can fault this. Oh no, I can fault it by one thing, but I'll get to that in a second. But as generalization, there was so many positives about it: the cinematography, the lighting, the action, the dialogue. There's just so many.
The way they deliver it, it seems that they got the perfect person to play.
Absolutely,
Punisher. They got the perfect person to play Daredevil.
Yeah, I agree. I absolutely agree.
And there's not much. I guess there's not really much conversation to be had. But Wilson Fisk, I think, is great in this.
It's great how he shows up. I love it.
Yeah, and I think I always expected him to be there. But the way that he was introduced. We were on the bench press, and the way he manipulates things, and he even says to Frank Castle, yes, that was my plan, but the plan changes, and the exchange that they have is just so, these are the exchange that you want.
His
delivery,
right?
His cadence, the way he speaks, it's just Wilson Fisk. D'Onofrio is just so good as Wilson Fisk.
Let me ask you, what did you think of Elektra? Can we jump up to Elektra, or do you want to still talk about Frank Castle?
Well... I think we can just praise Frank Castle. I mean, the way it was written is really good because...
I agree. I do think that they casted the right person for it. I know I've had a couple of friends who was like, ooh, I don't know, but taking a look at his character from...
I was always on board with him.
Well, taking a look at The Walking Dead, and I watched The Walking Dead, I thought that they chose and casted the right person for it. I felt very comfortable. The minute I heard about it, I was like, yep, he's going to pull it off. Frank Castle.
Well, I don't watch Walking Dead, but I saw him in, obviously, Wolf of Wall Street. I thought it was great in that. I had no really doubts about him. I thought he was just great for it. And like I said, the character, the way he was written as well, I just can't credit that enough.
And that's the thing, right? It is a lot of this is not just the acting component, which is amazing, but it's the writing.
You have to see it. You have to see how it plays off.
Yeah.
The Frank Castle character is really what I want to see. Like, we've seen how many 3 Punisher movies, and in all of them, they always seem to make the mistake of going out of their way to show you that Punisher's a good guy.
He's a good guy, but this guy is like, no, he just wants revenge. That's it.
But we don't need to. You don't need to tell us because we already want to. We want to like the Punisher. You know, like yes, he's introduced as this bloodthirsty, homicidal person, and even in the show, he says, you know, is that how you look at me? That you think I'm just killing people? You think those people don't deserve it? And later on, when we find out about his family, it's just so it's powerful because we want to like him. You want to see him get revenge and justice.
I like the fact that with a lot of these scenes, though, you don't really see a lot of his family. Like he's the family man, and he's the
you see enough. Like, you see
bits and pieces, pictures here and there, but it's almost like it's uncovered with.
It's funny because
with, you know what I mean. Like it's uncovered
in a show that does a lot of flashbacks. Not a lot, but quite a bit of flashbacks. We don't. Yeah, you're right. We don't actually see him interacting with his family.
No,
it's all
under the investigation.
He tells Karen
and that's where you're like, wait, yeah, and Karen doing her investigation comes across.
Karen's great. Yeah, she's like. So,
I gotta say I didn't like her in the first season. As in, like I was just like, man, this character is just annoying me. But in the second season, I gotta say that she stepped up to the plate, and I actually liked her character a lot.
Again, it's a natural evolution of the character.
Like, I was very surprised.
Yeah, like she wants to fill in like the Ben Urich, the space that was left for him.
And even with good old Foggy Nelson.
Foggy Nelson's cool.
Foggy Nelson. Again,
he does a lot of
first season. I was just like, yeah, right, he's the sidekick. But in this season, he stepped up to the plate.
And it's hard because you have a season where you've got obviously Daredevil, who's the titular character. You have Frank Castle, who's so anticipated. You have Elektra, and then you have this big story with the Hand, and he holds up his own. You know that's great. Let's get onto the Hand, which is what you were talking about with Elektra. So,
what did you think of the whole story behind it?
I think it was great. I think the way she was used and introduced is great. I think my only not really a criticism with it is that so Elektra dies in this series. I kind of wish that we had Bullseye be the one to kill her. Like now, obviously they can't.
The size, like the classic.
Yeah, well, you don't even really need that. Oh, I like that. There was a little, she sort of stabbed someone. Through the car. So that was a nice little nod to it. But in some ways, I kind of wish that Bullseye was the one to kill her. You know, that would be a nice little.
I hope they do a third season, and I hope they put in Bullseye because if
you have Daredevil, you have to. I imagine you got to have Bullseye.
That's the next level.
Yeah. So Elektra was great. She spoke. I like that she had an accent. I don't even know what this character sounds.
What were we saying with Ben? Because we caught up with Ben just before this movie talking about it. Also, high education.
Well, she speaks like someone who has who obviously is traveled.
Yeah.
And she acts like someone who's well traveled.
Yeah.
Because her dad's rich and so on.
Yep.
Now, Elektra Nachios is Greek. Now, what do you think of that? Because I know that you have a bit of an issue with when they stray a little bit.
I didn't know that the actress was actually half Cambodian because she's half Cambodian, half French.
She's Asian. I looked at her and she's Asian.
So you saw the Asian in her? Because I didn't. I honestly can say I did not see it.
It's hard.
What is she?
It's hard because
I just want to say when I saw her, I knew she definitely wasn't Greek, but I didn't know what she was. I knew she was just something else, but not definitely. I didn't see the Asian in her at all. Like we're talking like Cambodian, Thai, Asian, all that sort of region. I didn't see it, but that's just me being blind about it, right? And I can put my hand up and sort of say
it's hard because when you find out that Elodie Young is playing this character, the first thing you do is look her up, see what she looks like,
right?
And already you see, well, she's this Asian, European. Actress. So it's hard for me to not go in with that knowledge.
Okay, so did you look this up before you watched the show? Because I didn't. I
looked
it up after.
I think I looked it up. I think I looked it up with G.I. Joe Retaliation because I know that she was in there.
Oh, she was in that?
Yeah.
See, I didn't want anything to do with it.
She plays like a red, clad in red sort of ninja in that.
Okay.
In that
right.
as well.
I didn't look that up at all.
But you were okay. So to you, she didn't.
She didn't look Asian.
She didn't look.
I didn't see Asian at all. That's me.
Okay, well that's an interesting little. I'm not going to criticize you.
No, you can. It's okay.
Because, I mean, it's unusual because you talk about how people can be quite ignorant sometimes about how they look at someone and they think that she's Asian enough and obviously you look at her.
Like Psylocke.
Let's not get into Psylocke, but it's the same sort of thing where you think Psylocke isn't Asian enough and I think Elodie Young is not Greek looking enough.
Oh, she's definitely not Greek looking enough. I agree.
I think
that
character
that
Greek?
I thought Elektra's supposed to be Greek.
No, she is. But I mean, in the story, in the
is she not?
In Daredevil, no, they actually mentioned that she's Greek.
I don't recall.
I don't
recall at all. But if
she
was, if they flat out said she's a Greek character or she's known as a Greek character, which I think for comic book lovers, she's known to be a Greek character. I can honestly say that she doesn't look Greek enough to me. She definitely does not look Greek enough to me. I will definitely.
But she's great in the thing. Now, did you like the way she looked with the?
Yeah, I thought it was good that they didn't have the costume with the bandana in the head and the red. That would have been a bit too cheesy. So it's a good homage that she's got the black and a bit of the red with the mask, and you know what I mean. I think it was good.
I think
you didn't like it. It wasn't fun.
I think that the next time we see her, okay, so we've spoiled that she dies, and at the end, the very last thing that we see, I think it's the last thing that we see, or one of the last things we see, where she see it in the cocoon or whatever, and she's got like the red robe sort of thing.
Yeah. So when she comes back, she'll come back in the costume.
I want to see her with the bandana. I want to see her with the straps. You don't have to give us the swimsuit, and I can understand that. I think it would be quite distracting if that was the case.
So it's more like an updated version of that.
I want to see it with the
bandana, red suit.
Yeah, I think Elektra is known for that. Is she? Yeah. Like more so than the master
that I know of, and it's the same thing as I guess possibly Daredevil, where
all of the characters in this,
then he gets his suit.
Punisher doesn't get the skull in his thing
until the very end when he's.
Yeah. So and Daredevil doesn't become Daredevil until the end. Oh, and even in this one, with not Melvin, he gives him the. I was so happy to see that he got the Billy Club. Melvin's he gives it to I got a little gift for you, and the wire. You can make it as long as you want. Daredevil season 3. If we don't see any nunchucks action, I'm going to be very disappointed. But I'm sure they're going to take care of us because we see him throw the Billy Club.
Yeah,
he's
when he was running, we
see him use it. Yeah, and he makes it long. It's
so cool.
Now, how they incorporate it is just brilliant. So I'm certain that Elektra, she gets the size. And Stick. Stick plays a big part. See, this is the thing where it doesn't. Again, it's not a criticism, but if I'm to fault one thing, the first half of Daredevil I really enjoyed, season 2, because it's grounded. We were talking about the criminal warfare and that sort of thing, and then it sort of turns into this thing where it becomes this fantastic story about ninjas coming in, trying to take over. Which does, and it does play into the history of Daredevil, which is a brilliant way to do it.
Well, it still has crime in it because it's about the hand trying to take over New York.
And they brought back Nobu. They brought back the idea of how you can bring him back to life.
Yeah,
and they're introducing this comic book superhero sort of concept that you can come back to life. So that was great. Another thing I really liked about Punisher at the end was that it was, to me, the last few episodes were a little bit rushed to me. I don't think it's again a criticism.
I understand where you're coming from.
They didn't get a chance to really let it breathe. Because like in Punisher, he makes the costume. You see him with all of his guns. He never really got to use those guns. I thought he was going to be mowing guys down with that chain gun that he finds.
I sure as hell hope that they do a Punisher series, because if they do it with him, oh my gosh, it'll be good.
I'll be okay with that, a Punisher series, and I can understand why they wouldn't do it, because Punisher's a brutal character.
He is absolutely a brutal character. But if Netflix is going down that path of dark TV series like Jessica Jones,
that's really.
Do you know what I mean? Like if they go down that route, I think they're the ones that would be executed.
Netflix is the perfect venue to do that.
Oh, absolutely. I know we're going over time a lot, but I just want
we're not going over time. I want to keep talking about this.
I just want to call out, though, the one gripe that I had with this is the continuity within the filming. So there was one particular scene that really shut out to me. There was a couple more, but this is the one that shut out to me. There was one scene where so Matt Murdock was wearing a shirt and a suit and tie and everything, and Elektra goes to pick him up in her car I can't remember if it was a limo or a car. But anyway, she goes to pick him up, and the thing is, his shirt, the collar actually had buttons on it. The minute he walked in there and he had to get changed to his Daredevil costume, it was a completely different shirt, different color, and I understand why they did it, because he had to take his clothes off, right, to get changed. But for me, that breaks that continuity, because I noticed it, and I was like, wait a minute.
I'd be very curious. If you noticed that, let us know as well, because I'm not saying, but that's appealing to your background because you are in this sort of filming, and you detect these sort of things, which I don't.
So for me, I mean, there are a couple more here and there that I picked up, but it's one of those things where it annoyed me, but the whole series as an all is so good that I'm happy to dismiss it, because it's like, for example, one negative thing out of 10 positive things. Do you know what I mean? If it was like a 50-50 split,
you know,
or,
for me, I understand. Like, one bright spot out of a whole sea of bad stuff can sort of elevate the show for me.
I get what you mean.
And sometimes, like, I feel like the opposite is true. Like, if you give me one really glaring problem,
it's going to diminish.
Yeah.
All right, that's cool.
This Daredevil season 2, however, did not do that. So I mean, I really like it. I'm looking forward to the next season.
This is so.
It's so clever. I think it's
exactly like I can't go back and say enough times that this is the perfect example of something that was written really well, thought of really well, and executed.
Have you heard anyone not say anything good about this? Like any comic book fan? I'd be interested to know.
I haven't come across anyone that has given any negativity about it.
I'd be curious to know someone who's not a comic book fan what they think of this. Because like, we are so close to well, not so close, but we are quite accepting of the comic book tropes and cliches. Like there are some things which are very comic booky, like like Frank Castle's like you didn't take my mask off, and Frank's like I don't care who you are.
Yeah.
Like that's.
But I like that. I actually like that. But he's like,
I think
for Frank Castle, he's like he just doesn't give a crap. It's like. It's not about.
But that's a very comic book character. That's a
very
comic book character. Like it's a very and even at the end where he's got the sniper, it's like like I love it.
That was so cool.
And he's like mowing down the ninjas. That was
and
so
then he's
good.
like he sort of gave him his like what's the word for it? Acknowledgement.
Yeah.
Like, and that's it.
Well, actually, the thing that I really liked about like he whispered it. He said like I'll see you around. Like
I'll see you around.
He knows he heard him, like so that was just so
cool.
good. Like it wasn't as though Punisher was like like he waved to him and he said,
he just
I'm
knew
here,
and
I'm
he
here.
walked away.
He just whispered it, like it's just so clever. And it just like as a comic book fan, you just have to just be so appreciative that they can make it believable and they make it so grounded.
I think the fact that it's so believable because these characters, it's not like they're untouchable, right? They get the crap kicked out of them.
Well, yeah, like I said, like
Punisher gets.
Do you ever see Punisher with a clean face?
Yeah, and like even with like Matt Murdock, he gets the crap kicked out of him as well. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And he has to like heal up a little bit, all that sort of stuff. I love the scene where he was in the Frank. We're talking about Frank Castle when he was in the judge in the courtroom. And he was like, yes, it was all come. It's going to go with, everything. Then he full on just flips out. He's like, I did it,
that kind of reminded me of something a little bit out of like, when he goes like 0 to 100. And it's great again. And these are relatable, not relatable thoughts, but you can sort of see where it's coming from. It's like, I'm as clear-minded as anything. I know what I'm doing. These people deserve it.
Yeah.
And like. Whether or not you agree with that, I mean, it's a different story. But it's just
he's so cool, man.
Like it was a good progression. Like there was a lot more happening in this season.
Yeah, absolutely.
We didn't really talk about the like inclusion of Stick and the hand into it. But so I'd be curious to know what you guys think about that aspect of it, because especially if you're not a comic book fan, like did you feel it was a little bit too hokey or a little bit too it's straight from this world that they created? Let us know below. Again, we'll read all your comments, and I'm really interested to see, especially if you're not a big comic book fan, let us know what you thought about Daredevil Season 2. And of course, at the end of Daredevil Season 2, you got that little trailer for Luke Cage, which I'm sure we're all looking forward to. So, again, watch Daredevil Season 1, watch Daredevil Season 2. You watch episode 3 again, because that was my favorite episode.
I definitely went back and watched episode 3 at the end of it all. I had to. Only because I just wanted to watch that fight scene and the rooftop scene.
I'm right there with you, man. It's so good. Like, comment, subscribe, do all that good stuff, and until then, we will see you at the next INH show.